So I've discovered this breathing exercise that is really powerful. Um, that you can literally use it like any point in the day, and it is like the trouble I had with a lot of breathing exercises before this was they didn't really seem to do it anything. Like they were kind of advertised as like a sort of instant chill factor. Like it would instantly relax you, and they never really did. But this breathing exercise, it really does. Like, it's not going to cure all your problems with overthinking and anxiety, but anytime like I need to calm down, or just relax, or feel better, I just do this breathing exercise, and it fucking works every time, no question. Because so many of these things, like so many of these breathing exercises that I've done before, like they kind of work, but it's a bit like 50-50, and they're not never been that effective. Doing like breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. Everyone's heard of that like classic breathing exercise. But to be honest, I don't know about you, it never really did anything for me. Like sometimes it would be nice, but mostly it was just kind of boring, and definitely wasn't the kind of instant chill factor that it was kind of advertised to be. Doing like deep breathing into your stomach, sometimes this helps. I do think you should breathe into your stomach. Like I do think it's a legit thing. But I don't. When I did breathe into my stomach, I didn't notice that big of a difference a lot of the time. Breathing into my nose, I agree intellectually that it's like better for me, but again, it didn't really make that much of a difference to my mood throughout the day. All these different breathing exercises. There's that one that Andrew Huberman talks about where you kind of take 2 breaths in, stuff like that. It never really did anything for me. And more recently, like I've tried to just lean into, sort of giving up like these prescriptions and just try to start leaning into like what feels good, to my body, and just experimenting with that. And obviously, like the body can have an inclination to negative things, and some parts of self-improvement are very about just like going against what the body feels like doing, like getting up early or going to the gym when you don't want to. Sometimes you do have to go against your body, but the trouble is if you reject it outright, like your body's natural inclinations, then you do forego like a lot of great benefits that the body has. The body does have this compass within it that does serve us. It does have this natural inclination for like what feels good to do. That is actually beneficial, and in some things I think it's important to kind of lean into it rather than going against it. And I think breathing exercises is one of these things. So I do think like all these things like breathing into your stomach, long breath holds, breathing into your nose, stuff like that. Like they do help. They are beneficial, but they doesn't mean that you're like you could just be. The conclusion I've come to is that I'm just doing something wrong with it. Somehow, I've heard people say about stomach breathing that a big part of it is like improving your posture. And I found that when I breathe into my stomach quite heavily, it often hurts my back. So I feel like I'm just doing something wrong in the technique of breathing. And, rather than try and perfect that technique, like I say, I'm just going with where the feeling takes me. And this is this technique here that I'm going to show you, this is one technique that is not really based off any science or anything like that. So it's not medical advice, but I've found this to be so effective, and this will just, like I say, it's not going to solve all your problems, but it will make you feel good, like guaranteed, no matter what. At least in my experience so far. And what it is basically is you can breathe through your nose or through your mouth. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, it's better to breathe through your nose, but I think the most important thing is you just open up as much of your body as you can. And what you do is you just breathe in to where it feels natural to breathe for as long as possible, and make a sound while you breathe. So I'll do a couple of demonstrations. I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you get some idea of what I'm doing there. You can hear like the sounds. I'm trying to make like a kind of gasping sound while I'm doing it. Um, and obviously you can see I'm just breathing into like the very top part of my chest, you know. So obviously, like I said earlier, like we're meant to breathe into this whole part of our body. But the trouble is, we've all had like a lifetime of like shallow breathing from sitting down in schools and then in university and at work. So a lot of our body is not really unlocked for us to breathe into. So what I do is just I'm breathing into just the maximum of what I can, you know, which is in here. And it's not very much, like I say, it's just that top half, but it still feels amazing to fully breathe into that part. So when you breathe, it should just feel natural. You know, the sounds you make, it take quite a lot of effort to breathe, but it should feel kind of natural and kind of easy and kind of good. I feel like a lot of the breathing exercises I've done before this, they didn't really feel natural. They didn't really feel good. You know, like breathing into my stomach, it just felt difficult. You know, this just feels easy, and my body's like, it sounds weird to say, but like your body just says yes to the feeling and just wants to do more of it. And basically, as simple as that, just make the kind of gasping sounds while you inhale, and make your vocal cords kind of resonate when you exhale as well. And just do as many of them as you can, and see how it works for you. You know, it makes you feel just a little bit more present. You know, you start feeling tingly in your hands a bit. You know, it's a bit like having like a cigarette, to be honest. It has a similar kind of effect if done really well. And over time, the more you do it, my hope is you'll be able to breathe into more of your chest and eventually more of your stomach as you go on, and eventually it just becomes like a natural way to breathe anyway. So yeah, give it a try, guys. See what you think, see if it's as effective to you as it has been to me. And apart from that, it's been a pleasure seeing you. Have a nice day.